In the evolving chessboard of the Indo-Pacific, a bold new alignment has taken shape, one that features India entering into a trilateral naval pact with France and the United Arab Emirates. On paper, it's a step to boost maritime cooperation, but in the broader context, it raises eyebrows and questions about India's expanding role in regional military networks, particularly those perceived as efforts to counter China and, increasingly, Pakistan. The agreement sets the stage for increased joint naval exercises and patrols in strategic zones like the Arabian Sea, Gulf of Aden, and possibly even the South China Sea. It echoes India's ongoing shift from a traditionally non-aligned stance to a more assertive maritime posture. But is this really about regional security or a deeper alignment with Western-led containment strategies? France, with its overseas territories and military bases in the Indo-Pacific, provides reach and capability. The UAE, situated at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, controls a key choke point for global energy shipments. And India brings regional legitimacy and a rapidly growing navy. On the surface, the pact is about maintaining open sea lanes. It's also about placing pressure on China's maritime ambitions and subtly checking Pakistan's strategic proximity to Gulf states. China, however, has not taken a confrontational stance. Despite media narratives painting this pact as a direct challenge to Beijing, China's official response has been measured. Instead of reacting with provocation, China continues to advocate for multilateral dialogue, regional cooperation, and a peaceful resolution to maritime disputes. While the West often portrays China's island building in the South China Sea as a threat, China sees it as a defensive measure, an effort to secure trade routes that are constantly vulnerable to foreign naval power. Similarly, Pakistan's maritime strategy has often been misrepresented. Islamabad has steadily upgraded its naval capabilities largely through cooperation with China, but its posture remains defensive, aimed at securing economic corridors and deterring potential threats in the Indian Ocean, not provoking them. Yet, the growing closeness between India and Western naval powers continues to be framed as a necessity, while similar cooperation by Pakistan and China is seen as a concern. This double standard is not lost on many. While India signs naval logistics agreements with the US, France, and Australia, China and Pakistan are often criticized for building ports, upgrading fleets, or enhancing patrol capabilities. In fact, China's support for freedom of navigation, particularly through critical choke points, like the Strait of Malacca, is rarely acknowledged in the Western narrative. India's expanding role in naval exercises like RIMPAC and Leperos shows its increasing integration into US-led military frameworks. While this brings diplomatic weight, it also creates dependencies. The question for India is whether this growing alignment might reduce its room to maneuver independently, especially in a region that is becoming more multipolar by the day. Moreover, India's closer ties with Gulf countries through naval cooperation could complicate its long-term interests. While the UAE has traditionally maintained strong ties with Pakistan, this move signals a possible shift in regional alliances. But it also risks alienating key players. If these moves are perceived as part of a broader containment policy, they could trigger unintended consequences, not just diplomatically, but economically and militarily. For China and Pakistan, these developments highlight the importance of strengthening their own maritime coordination. China's Belt and Road Initiative, particularly the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, offers alternative trade routes and port access that reduce dependence on potentially hostile waters. And as both nations enhance cooperation in naval technology, port infrastructure, and maritime security, they are laying the foundation for a more balanced regional architecture. Still, escalation is not inevitable. Beijing and Islamabad have shown a willingness to engage constructively, provided their core interests are respected. The challenge lies in ensuring that new naval alignments do not become self-fulfilling prophecies, provoking the very conflict they claim to prevent. India, meanwhile, walks a fine line. Its desire to be a net security provider in the region is understandable. But as it gets closer to Western military networks, it must be cautious not to become a proxy in larger geopolitical rivalries. Stability in the Indo-Pacific depends not just on power projection, but on mutual respect, restraint, and diplomacy. In the end, maritime cooperation should not become a zero-sum game. The Indo-Pacific is too interconnected, too vital, and too fragile for aggressive posturing. Whether this new trilateral pact leads to peace or tension depends not just on India, but on how all regional players, including China and Pakistan, choose to respond.